One of the highlights, or lowlights, of freshman college life is the dorm room experience. But as we all know, most dorm rooms are not exactly spacious. Many students nearing the end of their college career have outgrown the tiny dorm room and are looking to expand into larger spaces. But bigger spaces can mean bigger challenges, as we're about to see on this episode of Designing Spaces.
We thought it would be a good idea to do sort of a continuation of our previous Back to College segments and talk a little bit about the full assortment of small appliances that are available from the Home Depot and Magic Chef that really are multiple solutions for college students, because if you think about it, most college students are probably going to start out in a dorm room, so size is going to be a consideration because they're limited as to where they can put small appliances. Now at some point they may move to a larger, slightly larger on-campus apartment, which will give them even more options. And then later on down the line, you may move to an off-campus actual apartment. But think about it, even in that situation, you're probably going to have one or two roommates, so even though the apartment may have a full refrigerator, you're sharing that with other people. College students like to borrow food from time to time, so you might want to have your own unit in your own room to kind of keep your things separate from everybody else. So just some of the things to think about. But I know it can be overwhelming. You go into the store, you look online where we have lots of more options, and you don't really know where to start. So the two things that you need to focus on, it's very simple. Think about how much food you want to have on hand, so how much space do you need inside the unit, but then like I just said, think about where you're going to put it and what kind of limitations you have on space, because that's going to determine how big the unit itself can be. So think about those two things and you'll be fine. So let's talk a little bit about the units that we've combined here on the floor. Now keep in mind that these units are not sold together. You can mix and match these any way you want, but we think these different size configurations kind of speak to those different kinds of students that we've been talking about. So let's start here. We've got a 0.7 cubic foot microwave paired with a 3.5 cubic foot refrigerator. Perfect for a dorm room, right? If you've got a little bit more space, we've got this 1.1 cubic foot microwave paired with a 4.3 cubic foot refrigerator. As you step on up, you'll see this bigger unit is really like a regular refrigerator, just a little bit more compact. But on the side there, you'll see we've got this 1.6 cubic foot microwave paired with this 9.9 cubic foot refrigerator. So it just kind of speaks to the options that you have. So let me quickly talk about the microwaves in general. All of these Magic Chef microwaves, even the smallest unit, are packed with features. You'll see here on the front, there's all sorts of pre-programmed settings that will save you time for common things like baked potatoes, popcorn, things like that, defrosting things. You'll find that on all of the units. As you move on up, I'll show you in this one, all of these units have the rotating turntable, and that's really important for even cooking as you're cooking food in them. Talking about the refrigerators, even the smallest unit, look in here. There's lots of features like adjustable shelves, right? There's a can dispenser so you can put soft drinks in there or any other beverage you might want to have on hand, and those are easily dispensed. This unit even has a really small freezer inside the refrigerator compartment, so a nice space for things like frozen pizzas, things like that. Obviously, as you move up in size, the freezer compartments are going to get a little bit bigger, as is the refrigerator compartment. But on this unit, you'll see that it's two separate doors, two separate compartments, obviously a little more space than we had in the first unit. When you get to the bigger unit, obviously there's a lot more space on the inside, but I want to point out something that you might not think about that can be very important. Look on the top here. This one is actually attached on the right, but on these larger units, the doors are actually reversible. If you look on the other side, there's another hinge on this side, so if you wanted to, you could change the way that the door opens. Imagine that this door opens this way, but you need to place it against a wall on that side. You might not want to open it from that side. So what you could do is flip the door and actually open it from the right. So a lot more versatility on the larger units. So that's pretty much it. Again, just focus on those two things that we talked about. How much food you want to have on hand and how much space you have in your living space for the actual appliance. Keep those two things in mind and you'll be fine. And know that Home Depot and Magic Chef have so many options, we've got something for everybody. Now, if you have any questions when you start your search, just come on into the store and talk to an associate or check us out online at homedepot.com. Thanks for watching and good luck when you get back to school.
As you can see, Magic Chef and Home Depot offer solutions for every level of need for back-to-college students. To see this episode of Designing Spaces again, visit designingspaces.tv and click on the Magic Chef video. You'll also find a link to the Magic Chef website.
these websites to learn more about the participants on this edition of Designing Spaces.